Hold on. Oh, why are they calling me? I don't want. My daughter turns 17 next month, and we bought her a new car. Like, no one ever bought me even sneakers, barely, more or less a car growing up. It was not even, I mean, my mom was a single mom with no money, but it wasn't even people back then, it was very seldom parents bought their kid a car, you know. And if anything, some used, you know, Chevy Malibu or, some Dodge or whatever,
I got a 10-year-old Chevy
We just,
Blazer, to your point.
yeah. So we just bought my daughter a brand new, car, Kia Soul, whatever.
Mm.
It's a small Kia, but it's 2024. This way we get 10 years of, warranty and all the crap that comes. But she'll go, she'll see it and go, my friends have BMW. Like, you want your kid, you're caught between a rock and a hard place. You want your kid to hang out with better kids, good families, smart, and then, she hopefully they're doing the right thing. They're not out doing meth and smoking and getting high, and her grades are good. But then she expects to live like them, Or you want your kid, like me, to grow up with around all poor people. All right. I learned how to fend for myself. And, I learned how to get by in life and get what, but I'm stupid. So, what, my daughter's smart, but she expects everything her friends get.
I've been watching and listening to your stand up for a long time now. I completely disagree with the stupid sentiment, even if it's being said tongue in cheek. That is an issue though with kids nowadays because you want your kids. I've got a 9 and 7 year old at home. You want your kids to have a better life than you did growing up, but you still have to find ways to challenge them because
Yeah.
otherwise they turn into spoiled brats because they are getting too much and they're not having to fight for enough of that which you're supposed to have to fight for to enjoy in this world.
Well, I mean, my older daughters, they're all, 33, 31. They have kids, big houses. My one daughter has one place and owns another place in Florida. She Airbnbs. They and my ex-wife was a great mom too, and they grew up learning responsibility.
Yeah.
I bought them cars, or my ex-wife and I chipped in, but they were used, whatever cars to get them to school and back, college or whatever, and they grew up really smart, responsible, and doing very well. My 16-year-old, very smart, extremely. If I threw a ball at her this close away, it would hit her in the head. She has no athletic ability.
Mm.
She's a whiz on the computer. I mean, they're completely different from that era to now. Obviously things change and move forward with technology and act like growing up as a kid, we played sports in the street. There wasn't a sport I wasn't good in. Basketball, baseball, football. I knew how to play sports for my size. I was good, really good in basketball.
Point guard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, I could dribble between my legs, around my back, come up full court, and just, you know what I mean?
Really
I
good
mean,
court vision. Also, you could find your open
yeah,
teammates. Yeah.
yeah. And I could pass it if, I would be able to pass it behind my back. I don't know, you know what I mean? I knew how to play ball,
Yeah.
and I studied Pistol Pete, Earl Monroe, those type of guys back in those days.
Oh wow.
And when my daughters were growing up, every day, all the time, I took them to the basketball courts, my two daughters, and we'd play and play. And then in school, they're both starting at guards. One's in ninth grade and one's in 11th, and they're both starting high school basketball. My one daughter made second team all county. You
Wow.
know, they were really good because We did it every day. We played. Now I have a basketball court in my driveway. I go to my daughter, let's play. Nah, let's do, nah. She, she, whatever. But like I said, she's brilliant when it comes to, I mean, her SATs, her college, her high school. She, her honor roll student, A's and B's, or whatever they give them now. So I got to be happy with what she excels at, and that's TikTok.
Hmm. Well, she can either have a life as an influencer or she can pick out some mundane career and distract herself with TikTok when she comes home at night.
Yeah, she'll do well. She both of me and myself and my wife are very like I'm. It's corny saying I'm more street smart, and Bonnie's very very book smart, very intelligent. Plus, we both have a sense of humor. So
Yeah.
she grew up around, you know, a well-rounded family.
She's got a really good sarcasm detector too, it sounds like,
Oh
with
yeah,
who her parents are.
oh yeah. She's no dummy. I don't see guys taking advantage of her, verbally or anything, or people in general. Hopefully not, because she seems like she knows how to verbally come back. You know, at negative whatever. Because kids are dealing with negative shit all the time,
All
and
the
I
time.
and I tell her too. You can't be mean to people. You can't. If there's a girl in your school, if whatever, you can't be mean to anybody because it's not good. You're not nice. We were bullies as kids,
Yeah.
and I got an email, I don't know, 7 years ago. You used to pick on me in fourth grade. I hope you just, and we did. Or no, not even fourth grade, probably. I'm like, let it go. But, you know, and we were assholes growing up,
Yeah.
and I tell her, just, you got to do the right things. And her getting her license, I don't think 17-year-olds, I don't think you should be able to drive till you're at least 19. I mean, they're not aware. They're just not. I remember when I first got my license, I drove on the highway. I had to stop and have somebody drive. I can't do this.
Yeah.
I panicked. It was too.
It's nerve-wracking, and it was nerve-wracking for you back then as somebody who was in a car paying attention to what was going on around you. Now every person who's not the driver, and let's be honest, a lot of drivers also are staring at a screen the entire time. Like, I insist with my kids that when we're in the car, we don't have screens on. I'm like, you guys look around and see how many people are actually holding onto a steering wheel while looking at their phone at the same time. That's the
Yeah.
exact reason why you need to make sure you're paying the utmost attention, whether you're a pedestrian, a bicyclist, or when you actually get that privilege of driving cars, is because you're not just driving for yourself, you're driving to have to avoid everybody else who has gotten infinitely worse at this whole process in the last 5 to 10 years.
I mean, there's cars with big computer screens. You're
Yeah.
looking, you know, Teslas. My daughter has a Tesla. I've been in them. You know, those are computer screens. Now, I don't know if you're driving, if you can go online. I don't know how it works. But just that computer screen is enough to take away your attention at some point, you know. I mean, my car has a little screen that shows the highway or whatever, but it's not, you know, whatever. It's not some big computer screen. Now, I don't know how they work, you know. I'm pretty sure you can't go online as you're driving. That would seem insane.
I don't know. I don't
Uh,
know. I
yeah.
don't know.
I
I'd like
mean,
to think that you're correct about that, but most of these cars do the driving for you now, as long as you have some semblance of a hand on the wheel. So who's to
my
say you can't just sit there and watch a movie in that screen now, you know?
my car, if I start to go over to another lane, it pulls back to my lane. It's whatever. Are you on 5 days a week?
Yeah, Monday through Friday. And then I Turn my favorite interviews, and you and I spoke one other time, into a podcast also. So it's pretty consuming. And for people who follow the comedy scene here in town, they know that both you and your wife Bonnie have headlined at the Mothership. You did so about a year ago. I feel like you and I spoke just about a year ago. What was your
Yeah, it
first
was,
experience like at the Mothership?
well, last year was my birthday weekend. It fell on a Saturday. This year, my birthday will be this Sunday. So I
Oh
try to
wow,
get,
really?
yeah, so I try to get that weekend both. Well, the first year, luckily, that's the weekend I was booked, or maybe I asked for that weekend. And so now it's been a year. I try to do a club once a year. I mean, the Mothership you could probably do twice. There's such a big turnover there.
Yeah,
You
a lot of
uh,
tour, a lot of out of towners. I've been to 15 to 20 shows at this point, and comedians have started asking how many people living in Austin versus out of town. It's large majority people who are coming in from out of town. Like, the comedy has turned Austin into a comedy destination. Like, people are coming into this town specifically for the comedy now.
well, it's a lot of clubs and a lot of comics moved to Austin.
Right.
You know, a lot of them that I know. So, you know, every show was sold out. Sunday's not. It wasn't on the website, but it's on the website now, and that'll sell.
I literally just saw that. It's incredible that there's tickets left because all these shows are going to sell out by the time you get to the
Well,
weekend. So people should act right now.
I think Friday and Saturday's already sold out. I
Yeah, no,
think.
no, those days are sold out. I didn't. I just double checked because there wasn't a Sunday show initially, but now there is, and the VIP and GA tickets are all available. But those will be gone by Friday night or Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a good club, and it's run perfectly, and obviously a comic owns it, so they know what to do. The staff, everybody, it's great. It's just a good experience to work a club. They don't drop a check during your time on stage. They're not serving chicken wings and food while you're up there. I've been on stage at clubs and they dropped the check 20 minutes into my set. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Well, we got to. No, you don't. There's ways to do it. And, they're there to see the headliner, most of the people.
Yeah.
Not in the middle of the headliner set to pay a bill. And so the Mothership doesn't do that. They run everything, and they have a lot of comics that work there,
Yep.
work the door and work like the Comedy Store.
Some really talented people too. I've seen a
Yeah.
lot of them for at least 10 to 15 minutes at this point. There are a lot of funny people that are ripping tickets and I
Yeah,
guess
they're
not patting down nearly as much, but directing you from one place to another.
yeah, it's a good setup. The hotel's nice. Okay, so you walk through Austin and try not to get stabbed, but that's okay. Uh, you know, uh, it's fun. It's a good week, and I can have fucking some great barbecue.
You have a favorite place to go for barbecue here?
Well, they order it, but there's one place I go. I don't know the name of it. There's a long line, and you just take your tray and tell them this, that. It's on like a main road there, or all
Terry Black's.
that could be it. And you go all the way. In the back. You could sit outside all the way in the back. I remember taking my daughter there, and I was just in Austin. I did South by Southwest.
Yeah, I saw that. How was that?
It's good. Anytime you get to work a festival and see other comics and hang out, there's headliners. I don't get to hang out with them because we're not working together. Two headliners. So when you go to a festival, you get to see headliners you don't see in a long time and hang out with them.
Yeah.
You know, because it's just no club is bringing in unless you're doing a tour, but that's the same guys you're with. So I love doing festivals because we did Netflix as a joke festival too, Bonnie and I.
That looked like a lot of fun. There was a ton of
Yeah,
talent out in LA for that.
yeah, it's great. I saw people I haven't seen forever.
Mm.
So it was fun. I had a good time in South by Southwest. I've had a good time doing Moon Tower, a good time doing Montreal, all of them. So it's fun. Get away and hang out. So
Well, you're a man of the people also. Your most hardcore fans are some rabid motherfuckers. They will they will die for you and they'll shit talk you and everybody else in the process. So
Yeah,
kudos to you for having that rabid community that can't get enough Voss.
it's funny. Our whole scene, our whole tough crowd scene. I mean, I came up with some really good comics. Jim Norton, Colin Quinn, Bill Burr, Patrice, Kevin Hart hung out with us, Keith Robinson, DePaulo,
Waldo. Yep.
Geraldo, Bonnie, Judy Gold, a lot, some strong, strong comics. And there's some great comics coming up now. And I mean, you know, Shane Gillis is as funny as anybody. He's as funny as anybody. And I had him on a couple shows open for me back when he was, and he just is so good. His timing, and there's some comics that are just so funny. DeRosa to me is really funny. He's hard to look at, but he's really funny.
Makes a hell of a sandwich too.
Yeah, there's just like comics I really like watching. So, and I don't watch a lot of comics because I've been doing this forever, you know. But I'll watch Colin, once in a while.
Yeah.
I don't watch specials because I just don't. I don't think I even watched my last one.
I'm pretty selective with the specials that I watch because I don't want it to taint my ability to tell a joke. I don't want to accidentally be taking other people's material. It's the same thing with radio shows. I listen to a decent amount of podcasts. They tend to be more information intensive than funny because I don't want that to bleed into my unconscious. And then all of a sudden I'm unknowingly ripping other people's material off.
Well, that's the same with me. I do a lot of crowd. I know I can do a lot of crowd work
Yeah.
if I want. I can do an hour of just crowd work if I want, and I don't want to. Did I hear it say this? My material is my material. I mean, I'm not. I have 7 albums, and 80% is material. People know me for crowd work, but it's because I also make my material look like crowd work. A lot of it, you know. If I go to somebody in the audience, which will lead into a bit, and I'll make it look like it's ad-libbed or whatever. But watching other comics, I don't want to pick anything up. But there's a few I'll sit and watch because I know, one, their style is 100% different than mine.
Yeah.
So,
Are you bringing a feature with you this weekend or are you allowing the mothership to figure that out?
yeah, I didn't want to deal with it. I mean, sometimes I have features. Last time I was there, this guy Trey asked if he could do it. I said, yeah, very funny guy.
Hmm.
Now I'm not, it's weird because they'll even let you bring a feature there and put them up. Most clubs,
Oh, they pay for the feature also? That's not surprising. Joe spares no expense with that club.
yeah, it's not. I'm pretty sure they put the feature up too.
Good for them.
I mean, most clubs around the country use local features where they
Right.
don't have to get them a
Or you
hotel,
have to pay to bring your feature with you most
or
of the
it
time,
comes
right?
out of your money if
Yeah.
the hotel, whatever. In July, I have some locals I use. I like using. I like having a female feature,
Hmm.
only because it's a different voice, different. You know, my wife is like, you can't keep bringing these young girl comics with you. I go, they're funny. The ones I pick are funny, and it's different. I can't help it if they're smoking hot and I want to leave you for them, but it's not my fault. You know,
At least you're setting her straight there.
you
You
know.
just mentioned guys like Patrice and Geraldo and Bill Hicks is in this category as well. It makes me so sad that those guys aren't around to be able to riff on just the crazy shit that's going on in 2024. Obviously, you were great friends with Patrice and Geraldo. Did you ever spend any time around Hicks, or had his star kind of faded when was he near the end before you got started?
When I first started comedy, I'd go on the road to MC, and I worked a weekend in Lubbock with Hicks,
Really, Lubbock? Wow.
Lubbock, Texas. I go, this is the funniest man alive. I'll never be this funny as long as I live, ever. He was so good. I worked 2 weekends with him, and we every time we saw each other, we talked. For some reason, not on the phone, but we were, he respected me as a friend. Not obviously, probably not as a comic. I couldn't have been any good back then when I first started. I don't know, but hello. When we see each other, we talk. And I watched him one weekend when I worked with him. I go, he's amazing. It was just so good. I mean, me and Patrice were, real close. I wasn't close with Geraldo. I was friends with him.
Oh, is that
You
right?
know, yeah. We
I've,
never
I've,
talked.
I've heard you tell a lot of stories with Patrice. Do you have a favorite memory from your time around that dude? Because God, you want to talk about one of the funniest people who have ever
Oh, and
lived.
there's tons of them. We went for an audition at ABC for the two leads in a sitcom. So we're in there with the head of casting. Marcy was her name, very nice lady. Patrice doesn't want to be there, and I can't act. So we're doing the scene. Patrice, this is Patrice just looking at the paper, reading the lines. Me, I barely know my lines, and she's yelling at me. And I'm going, what? I go, there's not a fucking thing I can do. How can I connect with him? He won't look at me. I go, look at him. He won't look at me. I can't connect with him. We can't do anything. Don't yell at me. She goes, can you two just leave? And they kicked us out, and we just walked down the hallway cracking up. We're just laughing like two fucking assholes, that we read for the lead in a second. Obviously, we're not getting it. They're going to give it to some real fucking actors. Someone that would be on Friends or on Family Ties or something. They're not putting me and Patrice to lead a fucking NBC sitcom to be the leads.
Do you
You
even
know,
remember the show?
no, no. And so we're walking down the hall, me and him just like, and there's like five executives behind us. And I don't do the humor, but I farted so loud, and he fell on the floor laughing because all their eyes were stunned. They just couldn't believe these two jackasses were walking out of the building. And out of nowhere, I didn't mean to. I didn't. And he fell on the ground, just watching that big oath laying on the floor laughing.
Oh man.
And there was another time we were working at Boston Comedy Club, and and he's in the back of the room, and I'm talking to this girl in the audience, and she's telling her about her high school, how they're out in the woods and they're doing arts and crafts and this, and I go, who was your principal? Billy Jack, right, from the movie Billy, right, like some hippie school, and you just heard him in the back screaming and howling because he's the only one that got the fucking joke, right? And we used to heckle each other. He used to heckle me from the audience. Like we were doing that shit before. Like I'd be on stage and I'd say something to some guy in the audience like, "Look at the size of your eyes," and somebody in your family fuck owls. And he'd be in the back. He was already, and he'd yell, "Jesus!" Scream. How do you know he doesn't have glaucoma? Right? Jesus. Right? And then I would say something to somebody, just look at the size of your head. Jesus, and he scream, how do you know he doesn't have a tumor? Right? It's just, and it was so fucking funny that we would do that. I
Some
mean,
crazy stories about just how savage y'all were towards one another at the cellar back in the day. Like Steve Byrne and Bob Kelly obviously have a couple of pretty crazy stories. But Steve said, I think you were part of this group too, that when he had just gotten past at the cellar, it was one of those nights before the cellar had gotten as popular as it is now, where you could actually come in and get a seat in the middle of a show. And sometimes you could get front row if you want to. Well, he was doing a set after he got past and there was nobody in the room. And it was like you, Patrice, Bobby, a couple of other people just came in and just stone faced him. And he was sweating his ass off on stage and completely
well,
bombed. And y'all get up before the end of the set and walk back upstairs. And then he
I,
finished.
I, I didn't do that, but they've done that. Last
Were you
year,
not a part of that group? For some reason, I thought he had mentioned your name as part of that.
I could have been. I don't remember, but like a year and a half ago, 2 years, I don't fucking know. I was working at Village Underground. It's Seller owns two clubs, three clubs. It's around the corner.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Interesting.
The Village Underground is a bigger room. It's my favorite room. So I said, "Oh, I got a spot at the Underground," and Bobby and Keith go, "We're gonna come over and watch you bomb, right?" So, oh fuck. So I go on. Nikki Glazer's on. She's killing, killing, filthy but killing and funny. I don't care. I'm not saying filthy, but Nikki. She's just fucking funny. She's
Yeah.
just really fucking funny, and she's destroying. So I go up after her, and I know Keith and Bobby are watching me, and my first three jokes worked. Right? I go, "See you assholes." Right? I'll follow, do whatever. Well, then I told a dirty joke, and they both walked to the back of the room on each side of the room. And after any joke, they would go, "Oh, oh." So the whole audience just started turning on me because they didn't know who these people were. Like if I said something semi dirty, they would go, "Oh." And the audience is like, and the audience completely fucking turned on me. And I'm going to the audience, "Fuck you. The last girl was talking about her pussy." Oh, and it was horrific.
Oh my
They
God.
just fucking ruined. I mean, it was funny, man. Those guys, they're just, it's the meanest audience. I mean, the meanest friends in the business. People you would sit at the back table at the Comedy Cellar, and we were just vicious, vicious. And comics wouldn't come back there, and if they did, oh boy, it could have been ugly. And or we would go after each other. You know, a lot of times, it's just if you wore the wrong thing, you were dead.
That's why New York and maybe Boston comics have the thickest skin in the business.
There's some great comics out of Boston. Boston, Billy, Bobby, Patrice, older guys, Sweeney, Kenny Rogerson, Don Gavin, Lenny Clark. I mean, it was just all kill. Wendy Liebman's from Boston. Leno. I mean, it's just,
Leno was a Boston guy. I didn't realize that.
I'm pretty sure. Uh, just murderous comics came out of Boston. And they had tons of clubs back then, tons. So
Yeah.
they were working, they didn't even have to leave Boston to make a living.
Did you ever play the Ding Ho, or that kind of fizzled out by the time you got going?
Yeah, I played Nick's and the Comedy Connection
Okay.
and other clubs up there, but that's when, I was on drugs, I was fucked up. I mean,
Yeah.
I went back years later when I got clean, but my first couple of years, I shouldn't have been working at Nick's. I stunk, but they liked me for some reason, the owner,
Mm.
you know, and I would just do my shows up there, buy Coke, freebase it, and end up with it was the last time I worked Boston, I left Boston and went to rehab. I mean, that weekend was a brutal weekend, and then I went to rehab, and
What was there something in particular that was rock bottom for you that weekend that forced you into
well,
rehab?
the fact that I had probably $600, which back then was a lot of money. I picked up a waitress, drove from Boston to New York, got spent all the money on Coke, had whatever, shitty hotel, ran out of money, no Coke. 45 minutes from my house, but now with no money, no Coke, I have to drive back to Boston and still do one night from New York. We're driving back, and my blood started pouring out of my nose for some reason,
Ooh.
and I didn't even snort it. I was smoking it then. We stopped in Hartford We had $20 to buy whatever, and it was fake. And she's crying that she's going to miss work or get fired. And I'm driving back, and I get to Boston, and my clothes are in a fucking brown paper bag, not even a suitcase. And I just fucking go back home. And then I think like the next week or so, I was in rehab.
This is what, 30 years ago?
38.
38 years ago, and you've stayed clean since then.
Yeah.
Kick ass, man. Congratulations on that.
I did it for you.
Well, that's what I like to go around and tell people. I also like to tell people that I can't believe you have an additional opportunity to go see Rich Vos at one of the top comedy clubs on the planet this weekend. Friday, Saturday shows are all sold out. Just added a Sunday show. Go to comedymothership.com to snag those tickets. He is the great Rich Vos. Rich, it's always a pleasure chatting with you, and thank you so much for the time today.
I haven't said a funny thing in 45 minutes, and these people are going, why should we go see him? It was like him interviewing a fucking physicist or a doctor. He doesn't have 1 ounce of funny in him. But here's the other thing, too. When you're interviewing, when you go into radio on the road or something, he's a comic, be funny. Like an actor walks in, they don't ask that actor to do a scene or, whatever. You want to see fun, come to the show. I'm good.
You have been funny, but my point in having these conversations is comedians are some of the most insightful people around. So there will be some laughs, but there will be some serious stuff too. I think we struck all those notes.
I stink. Shut up, you know it. It's a fucking waste. You're gonna erase this whole thing and put some jackass like Babiglia on or somebody.
No, I can't do another goddamn one-man show that hides itself behind the veil of comedy. That's not going to work for me. So we're sticking with you here.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. Come to the show this weekend. Are you a stand-up? Do you do stand-up?
No, I did it a little bit when I was living in Chicago, but I do my material on the air now.
I did some bits. I did Gutfeld last night.
Oh, how was that?
It was great. I haven't done it. I used to do it when it was Red Eye.
Yeah.
But,
like 10, 15 years ago?
I don't know how many. Like 10 probably. Yeah, 10 years ago maybe.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. Great time. Studio audience was packed. And, if you give me a studio audience, I'm going to fucking, I'm working to them.
Just like with Late Crowd. You always kill it on that, or Tough Crowd, excuse me. You used to always kill it on that show back in the day.
I did 30 Tough Crowds. 30. How great was that show? That show was fucking amazing.
Oh, dude, are you kidding me? With the caliber of talent coming through there. And yeah, that's how I first found out about you, was through Tough Crowd.
And I did 30, and I was a semi-regular. The regulars were Keith, Geraldo, Patrice, and Norton.
Yeah.
And the semi-regulars, me, Judy Gold. I don't remember who the semis were, but 30 episodes in 2 years is fucking pretty cool,
Yeah, well, that's good to hear that you have fun on Gutfeld. That looks like a fun show to do. So to get the confirmation from you is pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool. I had a good time. All right, I'm going to go plant some trees.
Cool, man. Safe travels. Hit them straight today.
I'll see you later.
Still watching on YouTube right now, I do appreciate you subscribing to the channel and clicking that thumbs up button to like today's episode. Thanks to Gentleman Jesus for the intro and outro music. Hear more of his work at gentlemanjesus.com. Thanks to you for hanging out. More of the show and to connect on social media, visit booksonpod.com. Talk to you next time on Books on Pod.